We've got some great news.
Great new rates on new.
And used car loans.
New car loans as low as 1.99%. Used car loans as low as 2.49%.
I save money.
And that's not all. We refinance trucks and RVs.
Refinance your car and save.
Refinance at Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.
And save on your payments.
You will save.
Save now.
And save money. The Coxsackie and Hudson Lending Centers.
All right, welcome to Hudson Valley 360's The Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union. This week we have Ichabod Crane's head soccer coach, Mike Young, who is leading Ichabod Crane to the New York State Final Four again this weekend.
Welcome, Coach. Thanks so much for taking some time out to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. But it's been said it's very hard to get to the top and even harder to remain there. But this is Ichabod's second go-round in the state Final Four. Tell me, what's your secret? How do you guys maintain this level of just superiority against these other schools?
I think it's really down to a couple of things. We have a lot of very talented players that are very committed to the game, and they play year-round. It's very hard to create or make really good players or really good teams in 2 months and 2.5 months, like the high school season is. So it really takes a lot of dedication from those guys that play year-round and come into the high school season, with kind of a chip on their shoulder and a bit of an agenda to do well.
No question. Now, I know you coached a couple of years on the JV level at Ichabod. This is your first year coaching the Ichabod varsity. How's the transition been for you?
It's been great. So a lot of the guys that are a bit older on the varsity team now, I've had a lot of experience working with because they were on JV maybe last year, the year before. So the transition has been, pretty smooth. I think there are some different expectations. I think maybe I'm a bit different than some of the coaches that some of the guys may have had in the past. But, once we work that out and they understand my expectations and I understand what they can do, I would say, everything's been going very smoothly.
Talk to us about some of the key players on your team. I know, according to my stats, you've outscored your opponents 112-4 this year, which is incredible.
It is.
But tell us about some of maybe your leading goal scorers, some kids that have really led the way for you this year.
I'm a bit spoiled here on this topic because we have quite a few kids that contribute. But I guess we can start with the ones that get a lot of the press. Kevin Winglowski, Anthony Carlucci, Nick Johnston, and of course Giovanni Gomez. Those four guys really kind of carry the bulk of the scoring load. But what we've really tried to do this year is not necessarily focus on a couple of guys scoring. We actually have quite a few guys that are pretty close and approaching high single digits or double digits in goals. So we really try to spread that out.
Absolutely. Seems like it's working too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think one of the big, almost not a better point to that, but the 4 goals that you've had scored against you, you've played, 20 games this season? You have only 4 goals. How big has the defense been for you guys?
It's been great. I said in a couple of other interviews that the reason why we can go forward and have that kind of freedom to express ourselves in the final third is because we have such stable defenders. I think defensively, maybe our season turned around a little bit when we moved junior Jack Kirby to the back. He was originally playing the holding midfield role for us, but after a couple of games, we felt that his tactical nuance, his technical ability, and his size and speed really kind of solidified things at the back, and we're actually a pretty good complement for our other center back, Matt Ragusta.
It seems, too, the fact that you've outscored your opponents by such a wide margin that you were able to shuffle in and out a lot of players during the course of the season. I'm sure that helps as well, the fact that some of the younger kids that might not otherwise see a lot of playing time actually get to come in and play and contribute and feel like they're helping the team as well with so many games that were kind of, I don't want to say blowouts, but
blowouts.
let's call them what they are, blowouts. But I'm sure that's helped as well with depth as well.
We have kind of a different philosophy when it comes to developing our depth. We tried something this year that I don't really hear too many coaches trying, and we don't put kids in when it's a blowout. We put kids in when it's 0-0.
Sure.
Because we need to find out what they can do when the game's on the line. And, certainly there are teams that are maybe, that we're playing that are less talented than, maybe your Chalmonts or your LaSalle's or Albany Academies. But even then, we have a core, I think, of like 3 sophomores and 1 freshman that have all started what I would consider very important games that helped us win our league and helped us get that number 1 seed in the Class B tournament. So we really take a different approach. We don't put kids in when it's a blowout.
Sure.
We put kids in when the game's close, because as a coach, that's where you find out, what kind of mettle these kids have and whether or not they can actually play and contribute later in the season.
Sure, it helps, too, the fact that during the course of the regular season, you're playing some really good competition as well. The Colonial Council is always so strong, and I'm sure that's helped you as well getting to this level.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're winning, by a kind of a wide margin, you really you tend to lose sight of how good your league actually is. And then when you get into sectionals and you're playing other B schools, or
right.
You really get outside of the section in the state tournament, and you really find out like, well, us very well
right.
For not only the toughness in competition, but also different styles of play, different coaching styles. So we've kind of seen everything, in terms of styles, and we made adjustments to those very well.
Now, talking about seeing everything, have you seen much of your opponent or the final 3 other teams in the Final Four this year, Lackawanna, Center Moriches, and West Hill?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of done as much scouting as we can do at the high school level,
Mm-hmm.
But, what we really try to focus on with our kids is, at this point, when you get out of your section, everybody you play is a champion.
Yeah.
So, you kind of take what little bit of information you can get from, news sources, YouTube, which is, pretty popular nowadays. Any kind of video we can get, and any kind of information we get from other coaches that maybe have played these other teams. And we really try to dwell on those pieces of information and try to determine, was it a one-time thing that they did this thing, or was it, this is just how they play? And the team that we're going to be playing, Lackawanna, very tough team.
Mm-hmm.
They're very fast. They're very skilled. We know they score a lot of goals, kind of like we do. So we need to be prepared for that.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you about that as well. How do you feel you match up against the other 3 opponents? Just based on what you've seen on film and hearsay, do you feel you match up with these other 3 teams quite well?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, West Hill is obviously a traditionally strong B school at the state level. I think they've been in the state tournament, at least state Final Four, maybe like 2 of the last 3 years or something like that. They're usually right there, and Section 3 is a quality section. In terms of how we match up with every team, again, the information we get on these teams from Long Island or Buffalo is kind of limited. But what we can do is we can analyze stats. We can figure out when guys score, how much they score, at what point do they score in games. Are they scoring early, or are they scoring after it's already 6-0? We can analyze these things and kind of determine what their coaches' patterns are in terms of subbing. Maybe I'm looking too far into it at the high school level, but that's how much passion we have for
Absolutely.
it. And so what we really try to do is we try to train our guys to be soccer players and be flexible, and not just be, stuck in a rigid style. And a lot of times, one of the beauties of our team is these kids will just think on the field and make adjustments on the field without any kind of prompting from us as coaches. It's really a beautiful and fun thing to watch.
And Coach, you talk about passion. Talk to me about the community support. I know no one follows a team any better than Ichabod Crane fans. Not only the parents, the girlfriends, or what have you, or just even the teachers. Talk to us about the community support that the team receives and what it's meant to the team and the players.
It's been awesome. I mean, I've coached at a couple of small schools, and one of the things that's great about it is that everybody kind of rallies around what you're doing. Because like you said, it's your peers, it's your friends, it's people in the community. One of the things that we tried to really do to drum up support is really get in touch with the youth in the community. Right. We involve the youth players in the area in every one of our home games in terms of when we get introduced at the beginning of the games. So we really try to make it feel like, we always talk about having a good program, not just a good team.
Right.
But we also try to, extend what we're trying to do in the program out to the community. And in return, I mean, we get so much support from the school, from Tim Stewart, our athletic director, and even the other teams at the school. They're very busy with their own seasons, but you'll go to the games and you'll see them surrounding the fields and cheering on their friends and classmates too. So it's been pretty great.
That's amazing, Coach. Really, just again, can't congratulate you enough on what a terrific season it's been.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Good luck, Coach. And that's going to be a 9:15 game on Saturday, right?
Yeah, nice and cold. It should be in the low 30s or 20s. Perfect Ichabod Crane soccer weather.
There you go. That's the spirit.
All right. Good luck, Coach. Thanks for calling in.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Great to talk to him, too.
It is, and they have a great team, 19-0-1.
And he's kind of got a busy week going between scouting and looking at the film of the other teams and getting his team ready. But just an amazing run so far for Ichabod for the second straight year. And as he mentioned, it's not just a team, it's a program. They've really just grown by leaps and bounds over the years, and they've had that continued success. So, and hopefully they'll have more continued success this weekend.
Yeah, I think they will. Now, part of the reason why we changed the name from Gridiron Glance to the Press Box is that we can talk about a number of different sports. Sure. Soccer. We're in line with that. We're going to switch gears a bit, talk about Columbia Green basketball, which both the men and women's teams kicked off their season this past weekend. We have some video highlights of that, of both teams at the Goldberg Classic, which is the annual kickoff tournament. Mm-hmm. But you were out there. You've seen, 3 games now?
I've seen 3 games, both the men and women.
What do you think about those teams?
Well, let me tell you something. Both of these teams have talent. Both of these teams are going to win their share of games this year. So far, as we record this, it's 3-1 for the ladies, 2-2 for the men, and the fact that the men last year only managed 7 wins, but they were in so many games. Mm-hmm. I mean, they easily could have won 15 to 20 games. They went to so many overtime games. They lost so many close games. But I think what's changed there is just the culture all the way around. Coach Brian Smith has done such a great job in doing that, and these kids believe in themselves, and they're very talented. The men's team, we'll start with them. They won their opening game of that Goldberg tournament that we talked about. Lost their first game on the road to Mohawk Valley, but I think they'll get them next time around. But the first game they beat Word of Life, and then they beat a Division II team for the championship, SUNY Orange, which again a big, tall team, athletic team. Very, very, very impressive showing for the Columbia Green men's team in the Goldberg Classic. The MVP of the tournament, Jamie Nurse, the all-tournament team selection, Ja'Cory Nixon. Again, what I love about this team is that there's no one superstar or 2 superstars that you have to hang your hat on as far as scoring goes. Right. I mean, they're interchangeable parts. You hardly can tell when somebody's coming in off the bench. I mean, Coach Smith has said they go 11 deep. It's the truth.
They do.
This team goes 11 deep, and when they get a couple of more kids in the second semester, they'll go 13 deep. Yep. And I'm confident of that. And you're going to hear from this Columbia Green team. They got a good thing going there.
They do. And the women's team equally as impressive. And they have just their second year back. They took about a 10-year hiatus, brought the team back last year.
So it's a
did
brand
pretty
new
well.
program, really.
Basically is. And they have quite a few women on that team that can score. I mean, they had a tremendous first-round game against Word of Life. Yep. Came back the next night, won the championship. They're 3-1 now. They won again. Was a Tuesday night. Right. So they have a lot of things to be happy about, too, at the start of the season.
Very similar to the men, Brian, in that they have interchangeable parts. Right. I mean, in the past, you've seen Columbia Green teams, men and women, well, years ago with the women, and last year, where you have 7 kids, and that's about it, so you don't have much of a bench. Mm-hmm. This year, it's a different story, not only with the men, but with the women. You have 12 kids, and again, interchangeable parts. One plays off the other. There's not one. You have Tanisha Edge, the reigning Mountain Valley Conference Player of the Year, who is still your player that you're going to look to when it comes
she's
to
your centerpiece.
Yeah, absolutely. She's the centerpiece, no question about that. But as she has said herself, I spoke to her after the Sullivan game, in which Columbia Green won for the 3rd straight victory on Tuesday night. She admits that it takes pressure off of her, the fact that there are other scorers. It's not like she's looking to score 40 points a game. She's looking to do what she can to help the team. And I think they've built that culture. Coach Jamie Bates himself, just like Brian Smith with the men's team, has got a good thing going there, and that he's recruited. He's got some good players. He's got some local kids involved. Shana Ostrowski from Catskill. You've got Selena Jones from Hudson. I mean, Tanisha Edge, their leading scorer, is from Saugerty. So and some kids from the city as well. So you got a good thing going there, and they're 3-1. They lost their opener just like the men to Mohawk Valley, which is a tremendous women's program. Since then, they've won 3 in a row and looking good going into the weekend games against Schenectady.
Yeah, I think they look very good. This week was a big week at the local level also. High school basketball all started their tryouts. They're going to be kicking off their season in just a couple weeks. So hopefully we'll be able to get a couple coaches in here and do a little season preview soon.
Yep, I think it's going to be a very, very good year again. I mean, you know me, when it comes to high school hoops, I'm loving this, men's and women's. I mean, it's going to be good, and I can't wait to get the coaches in here and see what they got to say.
Perfect. All right, we'll see you next week on the Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.